Hey, what's up? It's Neil Parfit. How is everybody? As you can see, I'm in a different space. The studio is a lot more spacious and bright. I actually might have a few windows, which I didn't have in my studio for almost 14 years, but that's another story. I am out of the dungeon, and here we are. I thought I'd take this opportunity to share a quick little story, and that is a client of mine wanted to be able to have his main primary system for composing and then have a secondary system for on the go, and then possibly have a third system for in LA when just traveling back and forth and having his studio set up there. So we thought, hey, the new Mac Studios look pretty amazing, right? So we're like, yes, let's do it. He picked up the fully loaded M1 Ultra, 128 gigs of RAM and the 8 terabyte internal drive. And, all said and done, about $10,000, $11,000 Canadian, a lot of money. I got to work setting it up, and the whole idea is to be able to write in Logic Pro, on the main system, and then take the sample and work drives out, connect it to that system, and just work there, bring those drives back, and just, a kind of handoff situation, working from one machine to the other, back and forth. Well, it ended up being an absolute disaster. Things were just not working properly, a lot of incompatibility issues, a lot of instability, and it just brought to light one of the main things with Apple I always hate, and that is that it's a game of moving targets, and sometimes you don't know which way it's going to go. In our case, our primary systems are both Mac Pros. We're running Big Sur, not 10.7 Logic, but a version or so back because it's rock solid and we're in the middle of writing on shows. It works, can't touch it. So we decided to put that lower version of Logic on the new machine, which is still M1 compatible, by the way. And it should have been a seamless back and forth, but it wasn't. There was a lot of third-party sample libraries that were freaking out. And I'm not going to name names, but some big vendors, and it just was not happy. And then it just became one of those things. Well, if we update the main system, maybe it will work with this. But then we're rocking the boat with the main system, which is working flawlessly. You can't do that when you're in the middle of shows. And the problem is, we're always in the middle of the shows, so it should be pretty smooth. There is the other factor of, if we update the main system to Monterey, will it block us from downgrading back? Because with the new T2 chip, it's not quite clear and there's no de facto answer from Apple. We might be able to, we might not be able to. That's not an answer I can risk taking a chance with. So we tried all sorts of tests, and in the end, it didn't work. And we've actually just initiated a return with Apple, and we're returning the Mac Studio as of tomorrow. Wasn't the outcome I was expecting, but those kind of things would stop us dead in the water. And we can't do that because these machines are being used for work every single day. So if we're down for 2 days, we're losing money for 2 days. And we have less writing time in those 2 days if we're dealing with computer issues. It's just not on the table. We even tried the latest version of Logic and importing existing sessions that have been working great. We're dropping notes randomly, like just weird things that shouldn't happen. So in the meantime, we'll probably end up getting another Mac Pro, which is fine because they are a lot cheaper now based on the Mac Studio driving down the cost. I know I can duplicate our drives, pop them into another Mac Pro 2019, and they'll just work. And that's, in a production critical environment, that's what we need. I feel like the Mac Studio is one of those machines that's designed if you're forever going in one direction forward and not opening or reopening anything in the past. And that's all great, and that will work for a lot of people. But for us, sometimes we have to open previous seasons of music, and those sessions have to open perfectly. So again, we can't rock the boat with that. It's really frustrating. And I know I'm going to get comments saying, well, it works perfectly here. And that's great. I'm glad it does. But the fact that it doesn't here is the issue. And with that, we can't take a risk. And it's kind of a bummer because it's a nice, smaller size, little chonky, maybe like me, but it is what it is. We're going to have to find another tower, and at least the pros outweigh the cons. The fact that we can duplicate our drives, pop them in that machine, and it will work perfectly because it's the same architecture and the exact same hardware. If I was starting again from zero and I didn't have sessions I had to open from last year or the year before, I'd probably give it a shot as my primary system. But as of now, I have no regrets using the Mac Pro Rack still. It's doing its thing. And even if the new one smokes it in a lot of ways, this thing still fits perfectly with existing infrastructure. Don't have to rebuy anything, change anything. If you remember my old videos, I actually eliminated a lot of outside peripherals, and that Mac Studio kind of reintroduces them. So this machine is still doing its thing. And just because the new one came out doesn't mean this thing's a piece of crap. We're still not hitting the wall with it. So it's as fast as it needs to be. And in the meantime, it's sitting in there and I'm making money with it. So that's what I needed it to do from the get-go, and here we are. So I have a lot of stuff to share. Mainly, I am in this new space, and I'm going Dolby Atmos 7.1.4, and just how I transitioned into this space, it was a lot more of an undertaking than you'd think, and I'll get to that in the near future. But it was a year and a half in the making, and I'm excited to share how it all happened. And until then, I hope everybody's having a great summer, getting a little sunburnt like me, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later.